Assalamualaikum to Madam Siti Fazila. We are from group 2. Will present about elasticity. Okay, firstly, my name is Afif Akmal bin Muhammad Irwan. Elasticity is a measurement of the magnitude of responsiveness and sensitiveness of any variable like quantity demanded, quantity good, and quantity supply to change in one of the determinants factors like price or income. Okay, so we will go through with the price elasticity of demand.
My name is Balkis Danisha. I will talk about price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity is an economic measure of the change in quantity demand or purchase of a product in relation to its price change. Elasticity of demand equal to percentage in quantity demand divided by percentage in price. If the answer is between 0 and -1, the relationship is inelastic. That is, their price do not change very much given changes in supply or demand. If the answer is between -1 and infinity, the relationship is elastic. Their price move cause substantial changes in its demand or its supply. The value of price elastic is always negative because of the demand curve and the inverse relationship between price and quantity demand. Next, there are four types of price elasticity of demand. First, perfect inelastic. Elastic equal to 0. Demand does not change at all when the price changes. The demand curve will be vertical. A perfectly inelastic demand curve is an extreme case, for it implies that consumers are willing and able to pay any price for the product. If supply falls, equilibrium market price can rise without any contraction in quantity demand. Next, perfectly elastic. Elasticity equal to infinity. Quantity demand is extremely responsive to every small change in price. If demand for a product is perfectly elastic, a change in market supply, shown on the right as an output shift of supply, will not lead to any change in the equilibrium price. This demand curve applies to highly competitive markets where no supply has any pricing power. Next, unitary elasticity of demand. Elasticity equal to 1. Quantity demand change proportionately to price change. With a demand curve of unitary price elasticity, a change in price is made with a proportionate change in demand. This means that total spending by consumers on the product will remain the same at its price level. Next, elastic E higher than 1. Quantity demand change proportionately more than price change, highly responsive to a change in price. If demand for a product is price elastic, a supplier stands to gain extra revenue if they reduce their price. The change in quantity demand will be proportionately higher than the reduction in price. This is shown in the diagram opposite. Okay, next we will continue with Adil Iman.
Okay, next is inelastic demand. PED E below than 1. Quantity demand change proportionately less than the price change, unresponsive to a change in demand. Following a change in price, the total revenue earned by the producing firm will depend on the PED for its product. If the coefficient of PED is below than 1, a rise in market price, example given from P1 to P2, will lead to an increase in total revenue. Okay, next. Determinant of price elasticity of demand. Substitutes. The more substitutes, the higher the PED. The second one is closeness of substitutes. The closer the substitutes, the higher of PED. The third one is degree of necessity. The lower the degree of necessity, the higher the PED. So the fourth one is proportion of income spent on good. The larger the proportion of income spent on the good, the higher the PED. Time period. The last one is time period. The longer the time period spent considering, the higher the PED. We continue with Aira.
My name is Aira Farhan Zulkarnain and I will present about income elasticity of demand. So income elasticity of demand is a measurement of how much the quantity demanded of goods respond to a change in computed as the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in income. As you can see at the formula, is percentage change in quantity demanded divided with percentage change in income. So the next slide, I will talk about type of income elasticity. Positive income. Firstly, positive income elasticity. Positive income elasticity can be divided into three parts. So first part is there is an increase in income. Demand will increase proportionately. A positive change in demand give positive income elasticity. So the second part is fairly inelastic income elasticity of demand EY less than 1. The change in income will bring about less than proportionate change in demand. Goods which have this type of demand will be necessities such as food in general and clothes. So the third part is fairly elastic income elasticity, E1 more than 1. A small change in income will bring about a more than proportionately change in demand, such as luxury good. So the next one, we're moving on the next slide. The second type of income elasticity is negative income elasticity, that is E1 less than 0. Negative income elasticity is about demand decrease as income rises or vice versa. The value is negative because an increase in income leads to a fall in demand. Example of good is inferior goods like salted fish. The last one for type of income elasticity is zero income elasticity, which is EY equal to 0. When income increase, the amount demanded will remain the same. Any change in income will bring about a constant demand for goods like basic necessity like salt and sugar. So we moving with Afif.
Okay, thank you Ara. The next one is the cross price elasticity of demand. Okay, the definition is the cross price elasticity measures responsiveness demand of good X following a change in price of a related good Y. So as we can see, the formula EX is equal to percentage in changes in demand for good A divide with percentage change in price of good B. Okay, there is three types of cross price elasticity of demand. The first one is positive cross elasticity. The second one is negative cross elasticity, and the last one is zero cross elasticity. Positive cross elasticity is uh, positive cross elasticity is when the increases of good A price happen, it will affect to the quantity demanded for good B also will increases. As we can see in the next slide, it is responsive to substitute goods. When the price of chicken is increases from P1 to P2, it will affect to the quantity demanded to fish, and the quantity demanded of fish increases from Q1 to Q2. This curve of demand shift to the right because of increasing price of chicken. Uh, this showed that elasticity of quantity demanded is greater than 1 because the relationship between good A, that is chicken, and quantity demanded of good B, that is fish, is positive. Okay, move to the next one.
Okay. So my name is Adin. So we continue with negative cross elasticity. This type of cross elasticity is when an increase in the price of good A lead to a fall in the amount demanded for good B. For example, an increase in the price of petrol will lead to a fall in decrease for a car. This is an example of complementary goods. So we can look at the graph. When the price increase from P1 to P2, the quantity will decrease from Q1 to Q2. Okay, next. Okay, for the third one is zero cross elasticity. An increase in the price of good A will not affect the demanded for good B. These two goods are not interrelated in any way. For example, if price of flour increase, the amount demanded of tea will remain the same. Demand is elastic at all points along the top half of the curve. Elastic unity exactly halfway along the curve. Along the bottom half, elastic below 1 towards 0. For example, increase in floor, increase in price of floor, demanded for tea still same. Okay, we continue with Alia.
My name is Alia Fadnis. I will present about price elasticity of supply, the degree of responsiveness of the quantity supply of a product to the change in its price. The formula for the elasticity is percentage change in quantity supply divided by percentage change in price. Next slide. There are 5 types of price elasticity of supply. Firstly, perfectly elastic ES equal to 0. The quantity supplied is unaffected by a change in price. There is no change in quantity supplied when the price changes. Only one quantity can be supplied. Next, perfectly elastic ES equal to infinite. A small change in a price changes the quantity supplied by an infinite amount, where the quantity supplied is unlimited at a given price, but no quantity can be supplied at any other price. Infinite at any one price only for this perfectly elastic. Next slide. The third one is unit elastic ES equal to 1. The percentage change in quantity supplied is equal to the percentage change in price, where the quantity supply change by the same percentage as the price change. Graphically is shown as a linear supply curve coming from the origin. Next slide is elastic ES more than 1. The percentage change in quantity supply is more than the percentage change in price, where the quantity supply change by a larger percentage than the price change. The inelastic supplies, we show that percent quantity supply is bigger than percentage in price of elastic supply. Next slide is inelastic ES less than 1. The percentage change in quantity supply is less than the percentage change in price. The percentage change in quantity supply change by a lower percentage than the percentage of price change. So moving on to determinant of price elastic of supply. There are 7 types of determinant of price elasticity of supply. Firstly, time period. Secondly, ability to store the output. Next, factor mobility. Change in the marginal cost of production, access, supply, availability of infrastructure facility, and lastly, agricultural or industrial product. So for time period, the longer the time period after an increase in the price of a good, the higher the price of elasticity of supply. Excess supplies, the slower the output level, hence the larger the excess capacity, the higher the price elasticity of supply. Lastly, factor mobility. The higher the mobility of resources, the higher the price of electricity or supply. So that's all for me.
Okay, that's all from our group. I hope Madam Siti Fazila will enjoy our slide presentation. Thank you.